So many people know they enjoy the benefits of plenty things. Alright, welcome back. It's still the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM, the midweek edition of the Citizens Forum. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll be looking at the many implications, if there are any, of the prolonged absence of President Muhammadu Buhari due to his prolonged alien condition, which made him get a medical vacation approval from the Senate. Or maybe he actually notified the Senate, so to speak, and transferred powers to the Vice President, who is now the acting President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Now, this is causing anxious moments for Nigerians with the attendant consequences on governance and economy. The uncertainties in government quarters, which has been typified by suspicions among government officials with regards to alleged takeover of governance by some cabal, have continued to wane investors' confidence in the economy. The ordinary man who shares sympathy with the president, who goes about praying or even fasting, as it were, for the speedy recovery of the president, is currently under a heavy burden of a heated polity and the pangs of soaring cost of living, soaring cost of commodities, food items, and so many on. But some will insist that, well, we have to be optimistic that there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and this palpable tension that the president's condition has generated in the corridors of power since the past months will soon be a thing of the past. Even the first lady, or the wife of the president, Alhaji Buhari, has also been caught in the fray, insinuating that there are some hyenas and jackals trying to hijack government, and then when the Lion King returns, they will be sent out of government. It shows that all is not well, not only on the polity, not only when you talk about the party in power, the All Progressives Congress, because it has spread a lot of uncertainty. There are so many things that they themselves cannot put in place. The board of trustees of the party is not yet constituted. The convention of the party has been continuously suspended. You also realize that this continued face-off between the presidency and the National Assembly, or strained relationship as it were, has continued to reverberate. So many uncertainties if you want to look at it, but are this really having grave implications on the economy? Are investors really pulling out money or their investment from Nigeria because they believe that where Nigeria is headed, especially in 2019, is not certain? These are the issues we want to look at this morning. Chienye, I tell you, if you ask the average man on the streets, it's all gloomy. It's all gloomy. They really don't know what exactly is happening.
Where we are heading to.
Unfortunately, many of them believe the rumors that maybe he's dead. They are just hiding it. There are so many rumors flying left, right, and center.
Well, but he has assured us that all is well, and then his absence won't even affect governance. So we hope it will be well. Like you said, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and all will be well.
Hopefully, hopefully. Well, we have someone in the studio, ably qualified to look at this issue with us this morning. A social commentator, a public affairs analyst, and of course a stakeholder when you talk about the Nigerian project. It's also right here with us. We'll also be linking up with the chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association, Berkuta chapter, and lawyer Atanda. We have in the studio Alhaji, Animashaun. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning.
Animashaun,
Yes, please.
you are not also left out of this various insinuations, rumors, half-truths that are flying left, right, and center about the health of the president. First, let me find out from you. How have you been receiving all this pressure, all this news?
Sincerely speaking, the feelings everybody have is about the same, particularly given the kind of news and rumors, like you said, and sometimes news in quotes that have been coming from left and right to for us to consume and kind of analyze. The impression cannot be totally different from each other because you have to make do with what you have. Obviously, the president was sick. Whether he is still sick seriously is a different ball of games. We all knew that he went out for medical attention. To what extent he has overcome his challenges, we don't know because we don't have the immediate news that can be confirmed as to that effect. But we have to continue praying and working on the premise that he's receiving attention and we are with him in spirit and he's also with us in spirit. Of course, in physics, physically he's not available. But governance is continuum. Government is continuity. There is continuity in governance as of this day. To what extent that continuity has gone in addressing the situations at hand before the president left, after his departure, and as of this day, is a different kettle of fish entirely. But by and large, we can only assume that the president, and pray that the president will come in hale and hearty to continue the assignments at hand.
Okay, Animashaun, let me ask you, has his absence affected anything?
Except if we want to be in outright denial. Like I said earlier, governance is continuing because power got shifted to the vice president, who is now the acting president. He relinquished power at the point of departure, which is constitutional, and that he did appropriately through the normal processes. There is no doubt about that. And as of this day, we can agree to a very high extent that the acting president has been doing his best possible, given the challenges, predominant challenges, the peculiarity of Nigerian situation and the circumstances that we have found ourselves over the years, that he has been doing his best possible. I think to a very high extent, Nigerians will give him a reasonably pass mark. I may not say it's an excellent performance, because nobody can be given excellent no matter the situation. There will always be voice of dissent and there will always be downsides to whatever you are doing at any point in time. But generally speaking, I think he's doing relatively well, and Nigerians are not really complaining much about his performances, but about those who are challenging his capacity to deliver accordingly.
Now, let me quickly put this to you. There are some experts who believe that the uncertainty about the president's health has created a kind of economic uncertainty that has stalled the recovery of the Nigerian economy. Do you share this opinion?
Look, Tobi, in an investment climate, it's not an unusual development because investors, most of whom that comes from outside the country, are usually portfolio investors anyway, and that we are trying to discourage, to make sure that people invest here and we see the effect of the investment more here than just taking away their proceeds and leaving the economy just anyhow. Generally speaking, when you have situations of uncertainties, there will always be a ripple effect from the investors' angle, because they want to look at the stability in the country. Of course, they will look at the security aspect, they will look at the government stability, they will look at the policy stabilities and every other factor in determining whether they can come into this economy to invest. Of course, we cannot do it all alone. Nigerians have the capacity to invest within this country. We have also Nigerians in diaspora, but we also have people coming from outside the country, just like we also do in other climes. But where you don't have policy certainty, security certainty, economic certainty, or political certainty, there will always be challenges. But in this instance, I think it may be a kind of challenge of political certainty, that what is going to happen politically when or if the unexpected, God forbid, happens, or as it is today, is the person in the acting capacity having the wherewithal to smooth sail the ship without much, distractions. And those distractions, we cannot hide behind one finger, could be a militating factor for some investors. But if you look at all the economic indices that have been coming out, there's some you may say might be polished, some are true, but for the fact that Nigerians are not really feeling it on their tables, we may not want to agree that a lot of changes or turnaround are getting done. But obviously, jobs are getting done. Nobody gets to government and just sit down and fold his arms, and I expect manners to fall from heaven. But with the current acting president, I think he's doing the best possible. The economic indices, even from the finance ministry, will suggest that we are doing something relatively well for investors to have confidence in us. But at the back of their mind, they might have their own reservations given the political situations we find ourselves.
Okay, let us look at key decisions that are to be made for governance to thrive. Let me quickly remind you that before President Buhari traveled, he forwarded 2 names to the Senate for confirmation as ministers. The one that replaced James Ocholi, who died unfortunately representing Kogi State, and the one that also replaced Alhaji, who took up the job at the United Nations. Now, these 2 names, ever since they've been confirmed by the Senate, the minister designate are just left hanging. But now, the question some people are asking, the acting president is the so-called acting, all right? How come he's not been able to swear in these 2 ministers? How come these 2 ministries are not working as they should, because the ministers are not actually heading this?
So you remember I started off by saying that most likely the problems at hand now is basically a political challenge. It hasn't gotten much to do with how the governance is going much than the political challenge. It's more of power play. It's more of what your partner, Ayodo, will call you, double me, I taka you. You taka me, I double you, of the political past development in the country. You see, it's like a tug of war, a supremacy battle, that we are more positioned to do this. You are just acting. You cannot direct me. I can direct the situation. I've been given the wherewithal to do it. I am the acting president. This bedeviling rivalry has been a really, really serious challenge for the acting president and Nigeria as a whole as of this moment. And that is why you will see a situation where ministerial nominees and that have been approved cannot easily be designated, or you cannot have a conclusive arrangement on their postings and all the rest. And you have challenges on the budget, you have challenges on whether somebody said this and is not supposed to say that, we are supposed to be superior. You have challenges with the Minister of Works saying this and the Senate saying something else. You see, it's quite unfortunate that we find ourselves in this quagmire. We will never bargain for this anyway. We thought that it will be a smooth sailing arrangement, but you cannot predict human life. Sickness, ailments will come in. It doesn't even necessarily have to do with the age of President Muhammadu Buhari, because a 40-year-old, if he is going to be sick, he will be sick. Buhari was not so sick. Don't let me say so sick. He doesn't look sick as of the time he took over power. He won the election. He was there standing like a soldier during the changing over of baton. It was surprising that a man of his age would be that agile for such a period. But if such a thing is going to set in, there's virtually nothing anybody can do about it. Whether he has it hiding before, it's a different kettle of fish, a different ball game. That's a different question that I should be asking, if we should be looking at the health situation of those that will come to power. But please don't let us look at the age factor. Of course, an old man will easily get sick, perhaps, than a younger age. But it doesn't make any difference whether old or young. A young man is also susceptible to being in such a situation. What even if it was an accident, for instance, and it's just a 39-year-old like the France president, and an accident happened, like what happened to Babasuntai that died recently? What do? Power still has to go to the next person. And if anything happens again, the power still has to go to the next person. The way the Constitution lays it down. What we have to respect is that that power that has been transited to the next person should be respected, not the person in that situation.
Now, Animashaun, let us, that particular point you just made, that should take us to the political implications and the power play of the likely eventualities or what could actually play up when the unexpected happens. Now, you understand that since 1999, we had President Olusegun Obasanjo in power for 8 years. He left, brought in Umar Musa Yar'Adua in 2007, and then unfortunately he died 2 years into his government. The then Vice President, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, from the South region, who was seen to be very, very meek and humble and so unambitious, had to step in after the doctrine of necessity by the National Assembly. Now, 2 years, the Northerners who felt they should actually get their fair share of another 8 years after helping Obasanjo got only 2 years. Jonathan was there, acted, later became substantive president after the demise of Yar'Adua, contested re-election in 2011, won election. In 2015, contested again. That would have extended Jonathan's years in power to about 10 years if he had won that election. So we saw the Northerners coming into an alliance with the Southwest, or the Yorubas as it were, with Tinubu, the arrowhead, to get Buhari into power. Almost 2 years again, it was as if deja vu of the 2010 imbroglio was about to happen. Don't you think this heating up of the polity, this power play in the presidency, the cabals versus acting president Oshibaju, the Senate versus the presidency, it's all because the powers that be, or the northern hegemony, actually believe that power is about to slip out of their hands once again?
Of course, there is no doubt about that. You can see this, the intrigues suggest that people want to hold on to power whichever way they can hold on to it, whether they are in power or out of power, because it's not impossible that at a point in time the so-called hegemony you refer to may be out of power, but they could still be in control. And they may still be in power and have ultra control as well. But the issue is, if at any point in time there is an implication that suggests that this power is slipping away, then there will be outcry. At the same time, because don't forget, this is a country of nations. We don't have a nation that you can call Nigerian per se. We're a country of nations, and we have various and vested interests. As much as such groups that you are talking about have desperacy, other groups are also yearning for control of that power. So there will be rivalry, there will be challenges. As such, people may not be looking at what the body of law says seriously, but what their own created laws, unwritten laws, says as per who controls the helms of affairs because of the various interests, the interplay of interest. And that is quite unfortunate for the development of a country like this. One will expect that we'll be graduating towards being a real nation, nationhood, but we are developing more the various nations under Nigeria at the expense of Nigeria itself. Perhaps because some people are saying is that the way it's being concocted is an artificial creation. But to an extent, there's unity in diversity. We have seen this over the years. Unfortunately, the political leadership does not seem to be appreciating this, because if what most of the political leadership have been doing all along has been the interest of the people, then it wouldn't have degenerated to the level where selfish pursuit will be the paramount issues. But because they are more desperate for perpetuating themselves, for impunities, you will always see challenges like this, because it's not towards building the nation, but towards building personal interest and towards building sectional national interest, that is their nations. As such, others will continue to come up with agitations like we have seen in recent times, and that has been evolving over the years on we want self-determination. We cannot continue with this development because some people are not just there to be calling themselves born to rule, and others will tell you we have the brains as well. Until, like we have been talking about restructuring, until we come down to that level and sit down to talk seriously about the way forward, I doubt if we can have that serious national hegemony, not southern or western or northern hegemony that may be coming into our vocabularies as occasionally has been happening.
Okay, let's look at the statement by the First Lady, Aisha Buhari, where she talked about those taking advantage of her husband's illness, that they're jackals and then hyenas, and that the Lion King will send them out very soon. Are we safe in Nigeria?
I wouldn't say we are not safe. She's being metaphorical, and she's just using adjectives to qualify her statement. And I suspect, and it's been proven, that she was responding to Senator Shehu Soni's tweet message. But by and large, you've even had statements that have been more dangerous. That one was not even dangerous. That have been more challenging, more than that, before, even from the south or from some other sections of the country. But the issue is, she was just passing a message, and I think that message is still resounding because of the situation we have discovered, that some people seem bent on hijacking power from the acting president. You cannot deny that, because he has been able to hold the economy relatively well. But politically, there have been some situations that he is still unable to contend with. Look at the issue of the suspension of Babashir Lawal. Obviously, because he was the chairman of that panel, he could not deliver that thing to himself again and make decision on it. But there should still have been a way out. I don't know what way out, but they are there. What, God forbid, what if the president passes on? What will have happened? What happens to Babashir Lawal? Wouldn't there be a decision to be made? Of course, we all understand that he's the chairman of that thing. I expect that there should be an exit strategy. Politically, he's unable to handle that. The issue of oil block is there now. The oil blocks licenses have expired. They are about to be reissued. I doubt if he has the capacity to go into that. Ministers, we have been hearing about reshuffling. It's a little bit tight for him to handle. He might be able to succeed in doing that. Those are part of the political challenges at hand.
Yes, are those not issues that have affected governance? Because obviously, even a blind man can see that some sectors, especially some ministries, are not working as they should. They are not up and doing. Some ministers have just mere figureheads, just filling up the space, completing the list, as it were. And some ministries need to be rigid. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing also looks to be, appears to be overwhelmed of those three key ministries. Some have called for an expert to actually take over that Ministry of Power. The Minister of Youth and Sport has been asked to be putted out. So many other ministries. Is it too difficult for the acting president to actually reshuffle that cabinet, even if he had to get approval, so to speak?
That's what we are saying. It shouldn't have been difficult for him to make political decisions towards, enabling the economic policies and programs promised Nigerians in the absence of his principal. But he is the acting principal now. It shouldn't have been a difficult thing because power has been transmitted to him on the normal process. But the difficulty now is those who are struggling with him for power. And once that is there, I don't know the way out, except if he's going to call their bluff and just go ahead and do it and damn the consequences. But the principle now is what everybody is looking at with him. The last time he went to see the principal to look at how well he's doing, nobody knew what they discussed. You see, that's to tell you that somehow the principal's factor, the real principal before the current principal, his factor is still very, very crucial in making political decisions. And the vacuum that has been left, so to say in quote, is what these people are lashing on, the cabals. Of course, there are cabals all around, even in your own household. Like my dear friend Dr. Okon will say, you have cabal. There are cabals all around every corner. There are different interests. Well, it is how you manage the situation that determines the success of your undertakings. But these are very powerful elements at the Senate, at the reps, even at the executive level, who are struggling tooth and nail to making sure that no, it is not possible. We cannot give this guy an opportunity to just go on continuously. We have to entrench ourselves now. And look at the tactics that was tactically deployed, even as of the transition of power then. Whether he's an acting president or he's a supervising, coordinating president. But Nigerians are very smart now, thanks to the social media. Of course, the social media has its own downsides and abuses. But information flickers now, it goes out quickly, and Nigerians are able to explain and say it the way it is, that this is what we are suspecting. And thank God Nigerians cried out and said, no, this is impossible. And the subterranean strategy that was deployed by the cabal, so to say, then, it was easily, kind of subdued.
All right, let's quickly go to a short break and let's try to reestablish connection with a lawyer, Atanda. We'll be back to check out the legal implications of the continued absence of the president. All right, we now have Barrister Atanda on the line, the chairman of NBA at Belgota branch. Hello, Barrister.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, we are definitely looking at the legal implications. We've been looking at many implications of the continued absence of President Muhammadu Buhari in the country. Now we want to have your opinion and thoughts as regards what could be or what are the legal implications of his continued absence.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. We want to find out from you, what do you think are the legal implications of President Buhari's continued absence from the country?
All right. Thank you so much. The legal implication is this: there is room for the president to be absent from his office on a reasonable ground. And we all know that the president left the country on medical ground. And that is why we have the vice president acting as president. The law allows that. The time frame is not expressly specified. But at the same time, there is need for the nation to know the condition of president, for us to be able to have rights for this information. But as it happens now, there is no doubt that that office is vacant. And the vice president is acting on behalf of the president. He has signed some bills into law. But there is no specific law now that is saying that there should be a particular step to be taken against the president. The Federal Executive Council is yet to take any step in respect of that. And that is why many of us are saying that there should be a step to be taken for us to tell the nation, for them to tell the nation, this is the condition of the president. And the president is due to be in the country at a particular time. But we are yet to receive any information with respect to that.
Now, Barrister Atanda, there are reports coming in that there is a likelihood that the president might extend his stay. Now, it may not it may not be called medical vacation. It may now be called annual leave, so that it will run concurrently with the medical vacation. What are the implications for this? And if there are any, what can we do? When I say we, what can the National Assembly do to compel this disclosure that you are talking about?
Okay, you see, the National Assembly requires information. They are entitled to know the condition of the president. If there is any move to extend the stay of the president to annual leave, we all know that all these annual leave will be based on medical reasons. And that is why there is this for the National Assembly to know the condition of the president. And it is based on that they will be able to know whether the application for the annual leave is reasonable or unreasonable. Because we cannot turn what we all know is medical issue to annual leave. As if nothing is happening. We are entitled to know what is happening. So if the National Assembly is raising a panel and a committee to investigate the condition of the president, it is in order and it is within their jurisdiction. It is within their power to know. That is my take on that.
Barrister Atanda, let me ask you, does the Vice President legally have the total power over governance?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I said legally now, does the Vice President have the total power over governance?
Yes. The Vice President is asking for the president.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, yes, we can hear you. Hello? We lost that call.
Okay. All right, we'll have to go on a break now for the national news at 10. After the national news, when we come back, we'll try to re-establish connection with lawyer Atanda. Animashaun is still here in the studio. Stay with us. Lawyer Atanda, the NBA chairman, Abekta branch, joining us all the way from Lagos. Hello, lawyer Atanda.
Hello?
Yes, before we went to that break, we lost connection with you momentarily. Now, we're still looking at the legal implications, talking about the medical leave and the role the Senate or the National Assembly could play to actually unravel all the darkness or all the mystery surrounding this so-called illness of President Muhammadu Buhari.
That is true.
Hello, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yes. So you were speaking earlier about what the Senate could do or the National Assembly as a whole.
That is true. Yes, I was saying that the National Assembly has a duty to find out about the health condition of Mr. President. And they also have another duty to determine the capacity or otherwise of Mr. President to continue from office. The same thing we have in respect of the Federal Executive Council, who also have the capacity to also find out the condition of health of Mr. President and determine whether the President can continue or not. But these are issues that the nation is expecting them to determine. We also talk about the long vacation or annual leave. There must be reason for annual leave. Is it an ordinary annual leave or annual leave on ground of health? And if it is on the ground of health, what is the probability that Mr. President can continue as President of the nation? All these are issues that must be determined. You cannot pretend not to know, or you cannot pretend as if nothing is happening. We are all worried that we are not hearing from Mr. President. But you have to ask the question whether the Vice President can actually act in full capacity. My answer to that is yes. My answer to that is yes. Because the Vice President is to act in the absence of the President. And acting in the absence of the President does not mean that you just sit down in that office, start in everything. Otherwise, you hold the nation that long. The activities of the nation will not move if the Vice President cannot have the full capacity as Vice President. So you can continue to act while we try and look for the position of the head of Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Lawyer Atanda. Thank you for
So
your contributions this morning. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. All right, Animashaun, you heard Lawyer Atanda there. What are your reactions?
I'm happy for his submissions, particularly as regards the angle of the law, and as regards the fact that the acting president has 100% capacity to do the job of the president in the absence of the president, as against the challenges of the so-called cabals that we are experiencing as of now. And it's also good to hear that the law, we've always known that the National Assembly can go further to find out what is going on. Of course, there is a kind of dearth of information as regards the health of the president. It's shrouded in a kind of secrecy, if I can make use of that word. But to an extent, even though he's entitled to his privacy, he is now a public figure. But some other school of thought are also arguing that he has relinquished power, so he should still enjoy his privacy, health-wise, if he doesn't want people to know. But you will also hear some other school of thoughts that will come up and tell you presidents in other climes do come out with what is going on in their life, health-wise. But perhaps because of our peculiarity, we have not really evolved to that level. But if our law says that the National Assembly have the capacity to set up a committee to look into it, let it be. But I am suspecting that sooner or later the president will soon be around. Going by what Chienye said the other time about the wife of the president, talking about when the Lion King returns, the jackals will be taken care of. Of course, I am suspecting that he's improving, and they are choosing to keep it within their circuit, not to let the situations be so much overblown. But we can only continue praying and assume that whatever appropriate legal process or law procedures or what the body of law says will be followed to letter. But as for the acting president, I am not disappointed in his performances so far, so good.
All right, at this junction, we'd like to accommodate your reactions, your comments, questions, as it were. You can call our studio lines at 0809-868-7344 and 0909-146-9670.
And Mr. Animashaun, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah. My name is Big Daddy calling from Mandela Way. Unless I want you to understand that this type of situation Nigeria is, we are still standing still. We are not moving forward. I can see what is going on between our vice president, acting president, and the lawmakers. Even they are only want to tackle him to impeach him out from the state. If Buhari is around, which our president today, it will not help like that. So may God help Nigeria. The only thing I want to ask is that how many days will it be outside before we talk about another person to be in that seat? And Oshibata is working under instruction. If he did not get instruction from me, he cannot do anything. And Buhari is there, he cannot see the way we are feeling here in Nigeria. That I will be thinking the way we think, but he cannot see the way we feel. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Nagbaola Kelani's submission. Unfortunately, the lawyer is not here. He would have loved to know for how long the president could be absent. I am not a lawyer. I may not be able to respond to that effectively. But I suppose the people who are in the law, the legislative arm, if there's any cause for queries, they should be able to do what they are voted for in that regards. But as far as I'm concerned, power has been transited. He's on sick leave, and the governance is going. We are only having to contend with the challenges of struggle for power, which is political. And I think so far the acting president has been able to maintain a good equilibrium as regards that. And I suppose the Senate in particular has realized that if they have to go beyond a particular level, it will boomerang and it will blow back in the face of everybody. For now, we are keep doing the kind of let's wait and see what happens. As for Pius from Shage, on Fayoshe's queries, well, Fayoshe, like every Nigerian, is entitled to his opinion. Even if he's not a governor, he has every right to ask what is going on with his president and to challenge anything at any time. Even if anybody has the capacity to do that, which I think we are entitled to, you can go to court to ask questions and challenge the status quo, if I can borrow that word, if you are not satisfied with it, whatever is going on with governance. Mr. Amotayo Robot, my dear brother, he agrees with the anti-corruption fight of the government so far, not too bad, but the economic downturn that is not quite as palatable. Of course, we have said that every effort has been made by the government now. What Nigerians want to see is the returns on their table, the manifestation of the economic policies and efforts of the government. So, as long as Nigerians have not been feeling comfortable with the outcome, there will always be outcry of whatever the government is doing that is not really trickling down on impacting on the life of Nigerians. Because there's one thing for you to have power, another thing is to deploy the power appropriately. And whatever comes out of that deployment in terms of the benefits to the people is what matters most. Yeah, some people will call it dividends of democracy, but I would rather call it dividends of governance. That what is the return, the benefit of the people from what people are doing in government, the representative. So I quite agree with you. It's not yet Uhuru, but I want to believe from the projections we have been given that in the next 18 months we will be totally out of recession. It's not that we are not evolving, graduating out of recession gradually, but we have been told by the Federal Executive Council, by the Vice President, that in the next 18 months, perhaps towards the tail end of this administration, we'll be totally out of recession. And we pray, we hope it goes like that. Going by the fact that we also need to generate more income, not only locally, but externally from whatever we can export. And from the diversification program that is ongoing now, I want to believe that situation will continue to improve and we'll be able to increase our foreign reserve towards having the capacity to boost whatever we want to do in terms of importation or bilateral or multilateral relationship. Thank you very much for that. And Big Daddy, he was also asking for the long absence like Alagbaola Kelani. For how long? I believe
the constitution is
so Kaya Dolumide talked about the hyenas kingdom, and there is need to follow the constitution. That's what everybody is talking about, that the cabals should look appropriately at themselves and think more of the Nigerian project than personal interest. Godfrey from Lafewa, well, he also wants Nigerians to be updated on the health status of the president and for the different arms of government to cooperate with each other so that we will not be shortchanged at the end of the day. And that reminds me, the cutthroat competition the other time, look at what happened at the Senate when somebody, I think from Niger Delta area of from the northeast, raised the motion that because the vice president went outside for a meeting, so he's absent, that is the acting president, so the Senate president should take over power. I just laughed. I said, when has it come to that? Even the American president, you can be a president in Nigeria and be in Russia and you are still a president. Does it mean that if you go outside to attend the meeting, then power has shifted by saying that you did not transit power before going for that meeting? Unknown to them, even as of that time, the president, the acting president, arrived in Nigeria that very evening that night. So it shows the kind of cutthroat competition, rivalry, desperation for power. And I'm happy that the Senate president on that day, kind of calmed the situation and shut down the two people that raised their observation as per power not transiting, that the Senate president should now be the acting president because the president went out, which is the acting president went out for a meeting, which is an ECOWAS, an AU meeting. And because he went out, he did not transit power, the Senate president should just take over. It's kind of absurd. Your president can go for a meeting because somebody was sick and is still sick and he went out, he transited power, and the acting one has to go out for a meeting. Does it mean that the acting one will have to lose power automatically and somebody from the Senate will just come in? I think whoever is a lawmaker should just content themselves with issue of lawmaking. Executives should content themselves with it. There is bound to be clashes. There will surely be conflict along the line. If the conflicts come in terms of general purpose, not personal interest conflict, go to the law courts. That is why you have the third arm of government to kind of reduce the conflict problem, relieve the conflict resolution. Go there, ask for explanation of what is going on. If you have lacunas or confusion, then the National Assembly can approach, or the executive can approach, and there will be explanations as to what you can do in that instance. Not that you want to take laws into your own hand and assume that because I have this controlling majority here, I can say this, I can reduce power from here, I can take over power from there. Or the other side, the executive also thinking, oh, let's shut them down, they don't have any capacity, they are only after the money they can get from us. I mean, we should move away from this pedestal and think of governance properly.
Okay, let's quickly go through the messages and the tweets. Olumide from Ijio says, I think we Nigerians are the most gullible people I've ever seen in my life. If we go down memory lane, that was how the health of late Yaradua, our former president, was kept away from us with lies and deceit till he eventually died. Now the same story is here again with our politicians slapping us with lies and deceit here and there. With PMB's health, I don't think PMB is sick. He's just having fun with champagne somewhere with taxpayers' money. Olumide from Jesus once again says they should teach us great lessons that are young, dynamic, and energetic politicians that can rule us well instead of these old and weak politicians we have around now. Besides, why did I even vote for a 72-year-old man? I'm regretting this, and my cousin deceived me to it. Okay, let's move on with the messages. This one says, let me sincerely appreciate the guests in the studio for doing a wonderful job. You see, some don't know the meaning of president transferring power to the vice president. But via this, your enlightenment, those who don't know will know. It needs no dictionary. But our people are so funny. That's why I said that Trump can rule this country called Nigeria. Acting president has been performing creditably well, so we did not panic. Abdulrashid Okela sent in that one. FEC members cannot sack the president that appointed them. Senate and House of Representatives are headed by northerners like Buhari. Aisha Buhari, an acting president, said that Buhari is fast recuperating. What do you expect them to say? Whereas Fayeshe said that Buhari is deflated. Fayeshe even claimed to have 11 photographs to prove his claim. His challenge to Buhari to come out within 48 hours and not met up to date. Nigeria is not one. Tunde sent in that one. And this one says, Cabal's blocking acting president from taking major political decisions as allowed by law in Buhari's absence, but have Buhari's backing. If not, if Buhari supported Osinbajo fully on whatever actions to be taken, and they know that they will succumb. Osinbajo just being loyal for cordiality, which is good. If not, in acting capacity, he can operate fully without necessarily consulting if they are not in good terms with each other. That's Ade sending in that message. Alright, let's quickly go to our Facebook fan page before we check out the tweets. This one says, it's becoming worrisome every day, or what we are hearing since about the president's health, and he's getting better. Our president didn't even say hello to Nigeria. For how long are we going to wait for this? One day, our ways towards this kind of issues will be changed. God bless Nigeria. Surakat Abdulhamid Abiodun says the long absence of the president is putting a lot of things on hold in the country, which invariably is having a negative effect on the nation's economy. But for now, the cabinet is supposed to have been reshuffled to ensure speedy move out of recession. The renewal of oil block licenses, which is long overdue, is also another amongst many other things which the acting president, by means of circumstance, is finding it difficult to do. I just want to implore those concerned to ensure transparency, justice, fairness, and rule of law in the administration of the country so that the confidence reposed in them by Nigerians will not be filtered away with their insincerity. Surakat once again says to Mr. Animashaun, I am of the opinion that the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing lumped together should be splitted and ensure that an expert take over the Power Ministry to bring about the desired change we expect in the Power Ministry. What is your take, Sam? Ashiwaju Dejimi Mujib says, of course, there have been a lot of implications. First, the absence of the president is causing political imbroglio on the confirmation of Mago's appointment, and secondly, Nigerians have been inundated with messages ostensibly sent from the president, and there are speculations that those messages were not from him, and this had led majority of Nigerians to be confused on the health status of Mr. President. However, Nigerians are getting comfortable with the acting president in the saddle of administration. All right.
Okay, for the tweets we have.
The centerpiece of most of the messages has to do with information. It's obvious information matters. Where you have dearth of information, absence of information, a lot of misinformation, disinformation, or concocted information will fly all around. No thanks to the social media that even made it very easy these days. Some will even write things and put it in the name of somebody, and at the end of the day, you discover that it's just a concocted information that's been peddled. We can only hope that as much as possible, when the information managers of the president and the presidency is ready, they will carry Nigerians along. But I think for now, it's not been the best. Perhaps due to the body language of the principal who prefers his privacy because he has transited power, principally, that has been the real challenge for the image maker and information manager of the president. As for Fayoshi's claims, you see, I respect Governor Fayoshi. He has every right, like I said initially, as a Nigerian. But if you have any claim, please bring it out. I don't like this idea of I will bring this just to water Nigerians' mouth or just to create a kind of sensation, and at the end of the day, we don't have anything. The other time he promised bringing out pictures. I can't remember how many pictures he said he was going to bring, 11 pictures or so. And up till now, we've not had any picture. I just hope it's not going to be a kind of Photoshop. You let him bring it out so that we know if those in the president's information management are not bringing it out. Bring it out if you have it, no cause for alarm. And he has said that he was going to go to court. I'm happy to hear that. Let him go to court and let's know. The court is always there for all of us. He has the capacity as a governor, so he should do it. We are waiting. And Mr. Surakat talked about the three ministries that has been merged together under Minister Raji Fashola, where the president that appointed him a minister for those three ministries knows his own reasons, and he's still the best person that can decide on what to do. But if truly he's not doing much or he's not doing well, I think the acting president should be able to decide on that. He has every capacity to do it. In the tweets, you have the issue of the long absence, that he should quit, that Boris Johnson did that. Unfortunately, in this climb, we don't quit easily. And for him, he has done what the constitution asks him to do. He has transited power. That is Muhammadu Buhari. He has transited power through the normal process to Osinbajo, the acting president. If the constitution now says he should resign after some time or he should be removed, it's a different thing entirely. I may not be able to say much on that. Somebody suggested the issue of bringing in Kwakwaso. I don't know how that is going to be feasible. You have an acting president in place who was a vice president. You still have a subsisting principal who is sick. Until and unless perhaps that principal is no more there, that's the only time I think they cannot be thinking of bringing in somebody. Perhaps the lawmakers will think of something to do when it gets to that level. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have more tweets before we go back to the calls. Yemi Da Vinci, I support Governor Fayoshe asking Osinbajo to transfer the SGF and Ikoyi money case to FCC for proper investigation and prosecution. Then we have this from Lawal at Toyi. The resource person is excellent today. Big up to Ola Animashaun and long live Rock City FM. Then Richard Eyo, our leaders are not just really faithful to Nigerians, and this would make the law to, okay, this will allow for more agitations. Then Yemi Da Vinci, Alhaji Animashaun, please, do you think the so-called activists will be this calm if it was Jonathan that was missing for 2 months? That's a question from Yemi Da Vinci. Then we have this from Richard. Our leaders are not just really faithful to Nigerians, and this would bring about law to be more agitations. Okay, that's from Richard.
All right, more messages also here. Adebambo Kenny from Obada says, why not leave the health of PMB to PMB and allow the acting president to govern? Rulers should allow this country to move forward. If this government fails, both the PDP and APC and other negative-minded Nigerians have failed. No foreigner will come and better Nigeria for us. The absence of the president is obviously affecting governance negatively in Nigeria. Acting president is not allowed to exercise full powers of the president. If not, why has he not been able to serve in the 2 ministerial nominees who have been cleared by the Senate? Acting president could not release money from the ecological fund to the states affected by flood until he went to London to take permission from the bedridden president. Like the acting president has sat himself and shamed the so-called cabals. The economy is bleeding and Nigerians are suffering. Alhaji from Kuto sent in that one. Comrade Animashaun, you are a very wonderful man who speaks with all sincerity of your heart. I appreciate you and I hope you will have more of your kind. The acting president is trying his best. Please for the lawmakers to allow him deliver what he has been sent to do because he's a just man. Mrs. Onide from Ibarra sent in that one.
Thank you, sir.
But I just want to say that all the time we put all the blame by the justice of our political leaders. But one point is very clear. They emanated from the society itself. Now, as citizens, we have some responsibilities to render for everything we are talking about in Nigeria. For example, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is for all citizens. It's not just for one of the tools of lawyers that people tend to always see. The document is written in very simple English and is available at all bookshops. But you see, as Nigerians, we always want to make points without making effort. Most of the time, all these issues we are talking about, their positions are made in the Constitution for everyone to just look at it and see exactly what it is. Take the example of the time the letter transmitted to the National Assembly, the word coordinate was used, and it became another thing. People don't just bother to go and look at the Constitution and know what are the functions of the office of the president there. One of the functions is to coordinate the activities of government. So when the power is now being transmitted to another person, who is the acting president now, it is not a shame, it is not absurd, it is not out of place to use the word coordinate. Then another perception, which is from the citizen, is about the office of deputy governor and vice president. These are offices specifically put. Nobody can win an election to government without having a deputy. That's why the president cannot be sworn in without a vice. So it is for all these situations that all these offices are created. But from their perception of Nigeria, they are more or less like what they call spare tires or useless things, or that they are just things that cannot be respected. That is why all these attitudes about the vice president is not allowed to work, that there is a cabal, there is this, there is that. For a long time when Buhari was around, the CJN was not running, and everyone did not fall. So let everything be done and said according to the rules of law.
Okay, begin to wrap it up now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello?
Good morning, sir. Our guest.
Good morning.
This is Inka Dedembo.
Good morning, Mr. Dedembo.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Mr. Animashaun has said almost everything. So that's, yes, normally, ideally, we should say one man cannot hold us to ransom. But I'm telling you, at times, one man, if the president of the country is started out one man, you have to be careful the way you handle the matter. Abraham Lincoln, if he has not maybe ruled America, probably America will not be where they are today. there's something interesting about Buhari's issue. Yes, he has sold it as his enjoy. You should leave him to enjoy the fruit of his labor. He is not a power hungry person. Even when he was around, I think I said it. I wrote one article in somewhere. I said our vice president is the most powerful vice president in the world, because even then, when Buhari was LNLD, Ochibaji was almost controlling the country. So that's why I think that's what Buhari is enjoying now. He has people's what they call it now, good will. And when it was going according to our Animashaun, it transited power. You see, so it's an era we are going through. It's not nonsense is affecting one way or the other. But I'm telling you, it's an era that we will not regret having. So yeah, it's almost of the constitutionally it's something. And about the cabal is a stage. I'm sure after you get over this cabal issue. So what he has done right in. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, let's pray for him to get better very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now will be the last call.
That's true.
Okay, let me see if I can quickly respond. Let me take Da Vinci's question on the calmness, in quote, of activists. That if it were to have been Jonathan's era, would they have been as calm as they are now? I think more of what we are having now is more of social media activism. That's what makes it to look as if everything is calm now. I wouldn't know what he's trying to suggest, but I think people are talking more in the social media than going onto the street. Perhaps there is no cause for that, and I don't think we should almost always go onto the street unless if there's any cause for that. Somebody said Shibadu had to go to London before he could make some decision. I don't think that is fair enough. How long did he stay in London? He went and he came back almost immediately. Would he have been able to discuss all issues at hand with the president on that visit? I think that's not quite fair, but we are entitled to our opinion. Appreciations to Mrs. Oniide from Ibara for her commendations. And for our dear brother, Barrister Detuji Onobawo, well, I quite agree with you that the society also have to be blamed. There's need for eternal vigilance from everybody. And you try to enlighten us on the coordinating clause that was used during the transition of power. But you can understand the feeling of Nigerians. When there is mutual distrust, sir, people will always read meaning. The way you will interpret it as a lawyer, even though it's black and white the way it is in our law books, Nigerians may not feel comfortable given some precedents and antecedents or some situations that had happened along the line. They will always want to query clauses like that. And you quite said it well that the vice president and the VPs should not be seen as spare tires. The purpose of their being in the cabinet is what we are saying today, to do the job when the principal is not available. And I say thank you to Mr. Inkadidembo for agreeing with our submissions. It's a joint effort. I think we should do our best possible. We should be vigilant, like Barrister Onobawo said. Eternal vigilance is the key word. Don't leave governance to the people you voted there. You have to be in government with them, and you ask for what they are doing. Challenge the status quo without being necessarily violent, so that you can get results, dividends of governance, not dividends of democracy. I am not particular about dividends of democracy. I'm particular about dividends of governance. Show me results of what you have gone there to do for 3 or 4 years, so that I can have confidence that I have not wasted my votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All those who called, those who sent messages, those who tweeted, and those who posted comments on our Facebook page. We appreciate every one of you. Join us again tomorrow for another wonderful edition on the show. We appreciate you. Allah Animashaun.
Thank you very much for having me.
Honor your invitation.
It's been quite worldwide.
All right, tomorrow is another day. For now, have a blessed Wednesday. I am Tobi Joseph.
And I am Chienye Egwuonwu. Good morning.